Welcome to Cashflow Savannah. What a great episode, Chandler. Today we have wonderful guests. They're friends, actually, Kevin and Beatrice Severson. What'd you think, Chandler? Did you learn 16 things?
I think it's more towards the 16 things. I love these people. I've got the chance to get to know them the last couple months and really just great people. They want to help each other and help other people. And I just love when I get to meet with them and talk to them.
They're very inspiring. And may I say, if you're feeling like real estate is difficult and it's going to take you forever to get multiple deals, this is the interview for you. Kevin and Beatrice have really just come at this business all guns loaded. Like they, had no jobs. They went at it and they've amassed quite a portfolio in a very short amount of time. And I know it's not because their uncle handed them millions of dollars. It's from very hard work and just sticking with a plan.
Yeah, absolutely. I think part of it with them being so willing to help people really helps them out because you just want to deal with people that you like and very likable people. So
Yes. So we welcome you to episode 13 and please stay tuned for more on Beatrice and Kevin. I want to extend a very warm welcome to Kevin and Beatrice Severson. Welcome to the Cashflow Savannah podcast. It's such an honor.
Well, thank you. We appreciate you inviting us, and we look forward to sharing some of the information that we'll be talking about during this webcast.
But it's a pleasure. Like always, he said, you're the social butterfly. So I'm so excited to be here.
well, we are happy to have y'all. Just tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and how you got into real estate.
Well, first I'll give my philosophy, and then I'll swing it back around with how we got together. Originally, I'm born and raised on a farm in Idaho. Got in the corporate environment. Was in the corporate environment for 34 plus years. Um, had a separation of ways between me and the corporate environment. Decided that I did not want to work for anybody else. That I was only going to do something for myself. And I'd invested in real estate part time before, and it was a passion that I had, and kind of exploring the issues that my wife had also. And so we took the time and did some intense training courses to be more proficient at what we do.
Mhm.
And we have excelled, I think, pretty well. We started our business here in the Savannah area in 2018, and we've managed to get a pretty good sized portfolio of rentals. We do quite a few fix and flips, and we just like what we do. We love being able to mentor and help people as we go along, and so that's what it's all about.
Absolutely. So go ahead. You go ahead, Beatrice.
All right. So I'm Beatrice, and I was born in Colombia, and I moved to US in my 20s about 40 years ago. So you make the numbers. So basically, I met my sweetheart. This is our second marriage. um, uh, More than probably like 12 years ago, kind of
Yeah.
12 years ago. And so we both came from long corporate world professional life. I'm a nurse and now taking care of people in a different way.
Yeah.
And for that reason, for us, when we decided to start our own business, we always had in our minds that our next stage in our lives will be as a primary goal, community driven. Because this is what real estate is all about as well, is to serve people
Yeah.
and to meet the real estate needs at the moment where actually they need it. So we can create a real impact on every person that we are touching in our business. We're highly professional and ethical. We don't cut any corners. And we are so proud of what we have been able to build together. And that's why we call it Heart Property Solutions, because it's always coming from the heart.
I love that. I love that. It's
Yeah.
always nice to deal with people that are just genuine, nice people,
Mhm.
Great.
and you all
Thank
truly
you.
are. Another question I just want to ask. So you're in the corporate world for 30 plus years. After 30 years, why was it kind of like, I don't really want to work for anybody anymore? Because it sounds like you were getting close to retirement. Um,
Well, I was still, because I stepped up the corporate ladder pretty quickly in my career,
yeah.
and so I'd elevated fairly high. Well, I'd basically hit the glass ceiling in my career field, and um, because of being involved with a lot of different companies over my career, I was very aware that when you change companies, you don't change the problems. It's just a different company, different, same problems, different company. And I just said, you know what? I don't want to go back into that rat race. I want to have the freedom and lifestyle that and do what I want to do and enjoy what I have. Now, if I was earlier in my life and I still had young kids in school and stuff like that, I would have not made that step that quickly. But now that my kids are all grown, they're all through college, they're off on their own. Her kids are gone through college on their own. We decided this was the time that we needed to take the big step. That it was a hard step because we both had very nice incomes.
What made you
I
choose the Savannah market for investing? Were you already here? Did you research it?
I was here because of my corporate environment. And actually, when we first opened up the business in 2018, we actually lived in Miami too. Beatrice still lived in Miami at the time. And we were actually thinking Florida would be one of the main areas that we'd invest in. And we actually found out very quickly that the margins and the cost for entry and the restrictions that you have in Florida makes it a very difficult place to be profitable and beneficial. And there are a lot of people that do not abide by normal business practices and thought processes. They buy stuff because the population down there buys stuff that don't really make economic sense to get into.
Interesting.
So tell us about your very first deal and how it went.
Oh, my very first deal. Now I'm gonna say this back. I'm gonna say the very first deal since we started this business, but I had a previous business before in Colorado. So
Yeah,
when we
let's
talk
start.
about this, the very first deal. Okay. First thing we did is we bought it in Georgetown, and
Okay.
we had a good idea of a small little house, a little over 1,000 square foot, needed some upgrading, needed some kitchen layout changes, needed it didn't we didn't change any other than taking out opening up the non-load bearing wall from the kitchen into the living room. We didn't do a lot of layout changes in the property, but um, we struggled getting good contractors to show up to work, and consistent contractors. And then we had several contractors we brought in that we had to go back and do the work after they came in because they didn't do it right the first time.
Yeah.
And you will find when you're in business that is something that you battle on a constant basis. And even with the years of experience we have now and the volume of experience we have now, we still have some of the exact same problems we had then. It's just we're better educated, better adapted
Yeah, manage it differently.
to
Mhm.
handle it very quickly and efficiently when we see that just isn't working. Where when we first started, we were a little more reluctant to make a change.
And I remember that I was coming on the weekends because I was still living in Miami and
Mhm.
he was establishing the business here. And I was coming on the weekends and I remember that we were just doing the paint touches,
No,
the baseboards ourselves, and that's for the house. And then the cleaning says that this house is clean. No, this house is not clean. So we're cleaning ourselves over the week. It was quite an experience.
actually, that goes back to the first five or so properties we did. I actually went in and did the final finishing myself because we just couldn't find the people that finish it the way we wanted it.
Well, and for our viewers that aren't from Savannah, Georgetown is on the south side of Savannah, and it's near Hunter Army Airfield. I invested in the south side a lot. I love it. But so, Kevin, it sounds like you don't do a lot of the work yourself, and that really put you over budget, especially on that very first deal. Was that a flip? Was it a buy and hold, or how did it work
It was
out?
actually a flip,
Okay.
and
Mhm.
when we got all said and done, I made $1,800 on that property.
Oh,
So basically, it
yeah.
was it was a very good learning experience, and people that get into the business need to realize the first property you do, maybe the first two properties you can do, you may not make a lot of profit on, them, but you will learn so
Mhm.
much.
Yeah.
But we didn't lose any money.
That's right. Do you wish
And
you
a lot
had
of
that
people
house?
do.
Do you kind of wish you'd have just held on to it if you only made 1,800, or what? Like going back to that one flip, that first property, what would you change now about how you handled it?
At that time point, we were in a different situation where, I was getting a lot. Well, honestly, I closed to repair that property on the 18th of August, and then right down the street, I got another one under contract on the 2nd of September.
Okay.
And so I went because I was generating so much volume from the messages I put out there, the leads I was going after every day, and the things that I'm looking at every day that I was very frustrated because I went from July till August without ever having a property. And and I'm saying, oh my goodness, oh my goodness, oh my goodness. And then we got it, and then all of a sudden it was one after another, after another, after another, after another, and the volume kept coming, and so um the momentum pushed us to do that. Now, right after that, we bought three more properties there in Georgetown, and we've got them as long-term rentals right now still.
Right.
That's
And
awesome.
then we bought a couple more there. So we have a total in Georgetown. We have a total of about five long-term rentals in Georgetown alone.
Right.
But I think that also when I'm thinking back, I remember that when we went to Georgetown at that time, let me tell you that Georgetown it was not the Georgetown
Right.
that it is today. So for me, myself, when I was thinking, coming from Miami, and I saw this, as what are we doing? Where are we? Are you sure that we're working in this neighborhood? I was kind of really, really scared, and with the unknown and how this is going to work. I have too many doubts, and
Yeah.
that's why everybody who is starting, it is okay to feel the fear, the unknown, the how this is going to work. We have gone, every single one, we have gone through the same process.
Yeah,
Just believe in your process, believe in what you are doing, trust the numbers, and just go for it. And so
Absolutely.
then after, when we finished those renovations of those three properties that came one after the other, we start seeing that Georgetown is start
Yeah.
changing. And at the end of the day, this is what we love, because our goal is actually truly renovating communities, improving the quality of life, and building a new home for a new family to create a new story. Because when we are buying a house, a brick house, but we are gonna make sure that we are building now a home,
Beautiful.
and this is what actually we start seeing the happen in Georgetown.
So I kind of want to back up just a little bit and kind of, for people listening, how are y'all funding these deals? How are you doing the construction? I kind of want just people to learn, like, how are y'all doing it?
well, at that time, we were putting about 30% of the money to purchase
Mhm.
out of our pocket and about 20% of the rehab out of our pocket. We were getting it through hard money lenders at that time. Well, actually, that one was a private money lender. We used some private money lenders at the very first, and we mixed between private and hard money lenders. But the best lenders that you can get out there, and people getting in there, is the fact is they are people you know, people that you have rapport with. I mean, there's so many people out there that have 401ks that can be changed over to Roth 401ks, and they can lend out of them themselves. Um, Savings that are great that at the time was not creating anything basically, that they can get 8 to 10% interest on, or maybe even 12%, depending on what they needed. Allow and you put people in your realm of exposure. You help them at the same time to create some financial income from their own savings, their own hard work, and they actually become one of your partners, and you cradle them, and you, because they're somebody you're related to, you cradle them like a baby. You're not going to let them down no matter what.
So I want to build on that. Can you explain the difference between hard money and private money lenders?
Hard money is more of a non-bank institutional loan company. Private money lenders are individuals, and what created private money compared to the non-institutional lenders is um, individuals that don't want to put their money in institutions, but and they want to have control of what they're doing, or they want a better way to invest, that they see the security. And what's more secure than a piece of property that if things go south, you can take over and get your money out of that property. So that gives us security. Number one, and the second thing is that what makes a private money lender? Private money lender is made from relationships.
Mhm.
Mhm.
I mean, honestly, your next door neighbor could be a private lender. Your brother or sister could be a private money lender. Your
My
friends,
mom.
your acquaintances, you know,
Our family,
our
because
family.
when we started the business, something also that education to build a strong business, because I guess our background, when we decided that we want to create our own business, the first thing that we were in total 100% agreement is that we needed to have a deep dive education and making sure that we will be having a structure and a knowledge to make something that it will be working for us, but most importantly, also to provide a legacy for our family based on our age. Because we were in a state of our lives that we were not thinking, okay, we are creating a new family, but we have families and we want to create a legacy for our families. And also to teach even our families that there were different ways to invest the money. Even myself, I can I can compare myself of the before and after. And my before and after was 40 years in the corporate world that I love it. I love my profession, and still for that, I'm doing a lot of community volunteer. But at the same token, when I'm thinking financially, it was like a, a completely brand new vision
Yeah.
on how to make the money work for you. You were born and raised and worked for 40 years just to work for money. And
Mhm.
that's how I live my life before getting the education to start our own business. Then we started learning all these strategies. And so it was like, what? How is this possible? How we can make this work? Our 401ks. It says, what? What we can do with the 401ks? I had like 4 accounts from different hospitals that every time that I was seeing the statements, they were losing money. No, actually, no, not losing money because since you are not adding any money to the account, so it's just in the market, just in for the most part, it's just like playing roulette.
Mm.
But so education and opportunities is just open so many different ways on how you can see your life with different opportunities.
Well, and one of the things it does is, what creates a private money lender, also back to your question, is the fact is teaching people how to make money work for them,
Yeah.
instead of we are born and raised through education in our world to be employees.
Mhm.
And we don't and nowhere in school or in college do they teach you how to become financially independent. They teach you how to do a job, they teach you techniques, but they don't teach you the down and dirty on how to make your own money work for you so that you don't become a subservient of the working class.
Absolutely.
Very true.
I 100% agree with you on that one. I want to stay on the private money uh, right now. So
Okay.
when you're going to a friend and asking them for money, how do you pitch them? Like you said, you're in Georgetown, the neighborhood's not that pretty,
Mm.
and you show them this house, and they're like, "Oh my goodness, do I really want to invest in this?" How do you get them over that lump of saying, "Hey, we got this"?
Well, here's what you do. You take the property, you take the value of the property, which you create the value, you find out what the value of the property is from several different ways. You can do an appraisal, you get as is and fixed up, number one. Number two, you can do a CMA, which is a market analysis of the area to say, okay, fixed up houses in good shape, they're going for this price. So I should be able to get this price or better depending on what I do to this property. If I get all the bells and whistles learning these other properties to bring this value. So when you do a presentation, even if it's to somebody that's your family, you do it just like a regular business. You present, okay, here's what I'm gonna pay for it. Here's what my cost to rehab it is. And honestly, people that make or beginners make a lot of mistakes on figuring the rehab cost. And then you say, okay, this is what I get for it when it's done. This is the profit. I'll pay you 10, 12. Some people can pay as much 14% interest on the money. I'll pay you back the money. You are a lien holder on the property. So that your money and your assets protected, and the insurance that you put on the property for while you're doing rehab, their name is also insured. And so you protect your investor or family member, if it happens to be, from them type of things. And would you rather pay money to a bank that you have no relationship with, or would you like to see somebody that you know that you have a relationship with benefit from your knowledge and your ability to help them take their money and make, instead of 0.011% interest, 10, 12% interest on their money, to help them be in a better situation to retire, to get a better analysis of the way they handle their money.
Mhm.
Kevin,
And
when
I actually, it piggyback to what Kevin just mentioned is that, again, going back to the point of the education, because the same as it was an unknown world for us, now that we had the knowledge, we believe that it was also our goal
And
to teach our family or friends or whoever had the interest on really what these guys are doing. And so to let them know what we were doing, right? Because at the beginning, you hear that. So also you have to be very cautious of who you're preaching to, because there are a lot of negativity around.
yeah,
I mean, I remember
Fear.
when we started jumping into the business and people were talking, are you guys, what are you
crazy.
thinking? Are you crazy? All your years of professional careers and jumping into what? Doing what? So you have to believe on what you are doing the right thing, get the education, and trust the numbers in the education as far as bringing people who also can benefit of the work that you are doing. It's always got to be a win-win situation. And for us, always we are putting a skin on the game. It's not that we are just, oh no, we are presenting the lead, but we are just presenting and not getting the hands on and putting skin on the game. No, we are taking the same risk at everybody, and that is very important as well, because we don't want to make believe that we are taking advantage of people. We want for them to learn and be part and learn the process at the same time with us.
Well, I had a question about your private money. I haven't used private money or hard money before, so genuinely, I'm always very curious about the terms. I know hard money lenders, they'll use the term a point, which means a percent. And a lot of, these, like Kevin, you said so beautifully, a hard money lender is a professional money lender, really. They're not a bank, but they know what they're doing. They have all the processes down. And a private money person may or may not be, overly sophisticated. So sometimes maybe you're being the one to educate them. But a hard money lender will typically take 1 to 2% of the purchase price as a fee going in, and then 1 to 2% going out. Can you give us some education? Like, have you been able to get more favorable terms than that with private money?
Well, normally private money, yes, I have. I pay because of paying the higher interest rate. Usually, private money, they're not as concerned with the terms when they see the interest rate they're getting out of the property, and I've actually gotten favorable terms from the hard money lenders also. Because I pay a flat fee, which is less than 1%, and only on the front end on the money I borrow from hard money lenders. But that's because I have a lot of exposure to the people I'm using, and normally most hard money lenders do 2 to 4%, 2 to 4 points, and a lot of people get hung up on that. But you have to remember, if you're doing a rehab or you're doing a rehab to turn it into a rental, you're not the maximum time you're going to be in this property is a year. And ideally, you need to do your formula and your analysis based on having it completed in 6 months and hopefully being out of it or having it refinanced. Now we have had some properties that we've kept under loan for a year because of favorable interest rates compared to non-favorable interest rates. I have had some hard money loans that are 6%, but that's only because of the amount I've done. Recently we haven't, but I had a property that we kept on a hard money loan because it was going to cost me 7% for a rental loan, and I had it under 6% on a hard money loan, so I kept it until the very max.
So you build that into your numbers before going in, how much it's going to cost you to borrow the money that you'll need. And then you just make sure that those numbers work based on what you expect in the end. Is that right?
That's right. You need to do a cash flow analysis on it to make sure that what you're putting in and what you're coming out, you're still coming out with a profit. And you need to do that up front as part of your analysis up front, because too many people put numbers together and then they don't really realize what the carrying cost of holding a property is.
Right.
Carrying cost of a property right now is well, most part it's going to be 1% of the total value on a monthly basis. So if you got a 12% loan, it's costing you 1% of the loan every month to carry that loan. And so it's very, people really have to think about it. You got to think about the taxes you got to pay while you have it in a rehab, because guess what? The tax insurance on a hard money loan or a private money loan don't come out of loan. Those are extra costs you have to pay as they come up. You have to pay an insurance premium that's the builder's risk insurance, because you can't do a normal insurance on these properties. You have to pay a 1 year premium, no matter whether it takes you 1 year or not, and there's no refund on that. And
Yes.
it's about twice of what regular insurance is.
Nobody ever thinks about all those kind of numbers when you're adding up a property.
That's why we are very conservative on our numbers, and sometimes when we put numbers out there, people don't understand that. But that's why we are very open book. And if people have a question why we're putting the numbers that we put out there, I'll sit down and show it to them. I don't mind showing, okay, this is what's going to cost, this is what it's going to be, this is what I think I'll get out of it at the tail end, this is what my profit's going to be, because I can't do it for free. But I'm not opposed to showing people, if I put an offer on their property, why I'm offering what I'm offering, so that and I've got a lot of properties only because of I've been full disclosure with people, and they've said, wow, nobody's sit down with us and actually went through the numbers and actually shared those numbers with us. Now I understand where you're coming from, because I've gotten several properties that people put more money offers on them, but because of my relationship I built with the homeowner,
Yeah.
they have felt more comfortable dealing with us. I mean, we just closed on one this Monday.
Yes,
Had it not been for a relationship that we built with this lady, she would have never sold to us. But we're very thankful that she did, and we're very thankful that she took and had the confidence in us, and she's able to walk away and have a very good life and move on to her next part of life. And we're very glad to have been help her, because she was on a road where she was almost getting to a dead end, where she'd only been exposed to the traditional means to vacate her property, and by the traditional means, she was not going to make any money, because it would not have been able to be sold for a traditional mortgage because of flooring, because of issues leaking roofs she had, because of just things that wouldn't make pass for the FHA, VA, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mae backed loans.
Yeah. So when you see a deal come your way, which I know you get them all the time, how do you determine if the home is going to be a flip or a buy and hold? What's that calculation like for you guys?
Well, right now, depending whatever the rental rate will be, um, you can't have a mortgage more than, like, if you say your rental is going to be 1650,
Mhm.
you're at the rates that are out there now for mortgage rates. You cannot have a mortgage on that house when you're all said and done of more than $165,000. You need because otherwise you will not be able to cover it. Because I just did an analysis. Per example is, and I'll just share this with you guys very briefly. A $200,000 mortgage back in 2021, when interest rates were at 4%, your total out-of-pocket cost was $1,237 a month.
Wow.
When it went to 5%, out-of-pocket's $1,332 a month. At 6%, it's $1,432 out of pocket. At 7%, it's $1,537 out of pocket. So all of a sudden, you're taking a house that you're collecting $1,650 a month rent on, and you're collecting $1,537. You're not getting the return you need to have this property. So right now, especially right now, you have to be very careful on the size of the mortgage and what you're doing with that property. And so it as interest rates goes up, it limits um your exit strategies on what you can do with certain properties.
So you're more likely to flip if the rent isn't going to work for the mortgage, but there's still enough room in there on the after repair value, then you're more likely to flip it because it's just too expensive to hold it with a rental. Is that right?
My philosophy, Julie, is if it doesn't cash flow, it gets sold.
Mhm. Okay. That's
I
great.
mean, I mean,
love that.
honestly, and I'm gonna, and I'll go back to my previous education when I was in Colorado doing this part time. At that point, people thought you bought and you held property based on appreciation.
Hmm.
That is a false presumption. If you're holding on appreciation, you're going to lose money. You need to make sure that it cash flows. And if you get appreciation, that's icing on the cake. But don't take into your figures that you're going to get appreciation. Because if you happen to be in a market that's interest rates going up, it's a little unstable. I mean, we've lucked out to this point where we've not seen a huge market shift here. But there are parts of the country right now where there has been huge market shifts, that people that bought on appreciation are now so far underwater that they're starting to turn their properties back. I know some heavy managers out on the West Coast that had a lot of rental properties that have started turning them back because they can't make them cover the cost. You know.
So could you give us like a basic rundown of your numbers? Are you looking at trying to get 70% of after repair value minus rehab costs? Could you give us kind of a basic idea?
Okay, if it's going to be a fix and flip property, I look at 70% of the ARV minus the rehab cost minus holding cost,
Okay.
based on a 6-month strategy for fix and flip. Now, I don't go quite that stringent on properties that pretty sure I'm going to hold for rentals. I'll go up to 75 to 80% of ARV if I know I'm going to hold it for a rental, as long as the final number and the final refinance loan that I do is going to be at that point that it'll still cash flow. I will go a little bit higher, but with interest rates constantly going up, that number's getting closer to that 70% than what it was before. Because there was some when we were at 4% that I bought it. I could have bought it 85% and made them work.
Mhm.
And but because the interest rates being what they are, that just doesn't work. Now that all said, back when it was 4%, my philosophy was a lot more related to, okay, I want to finance as much as I can. I don't want to have I don't want to have as much assets, because that 4% money, even though I have some of those loans down at 4%, are still making me money, because I got money borrowed cheaper than what the inflation rate is.
Mhm.
And so that's by itself, without depreciation, is making me money. But now with interest going up higher, um, you get more and more to the point that you want to have a little more skin in the game. And there's not a lot of people that do that. And that's why the fix and flip properties allow you to have a little more skin, because it gives you some profit that you can invest in real properties. And I now I look at not having a loan that's more than 70% of the ARV, where before I'd do 80% of the ARV on every loan I did. And even some now we're doing as low as 65, 66%. You know, because that's the number it has to be at to cash flow and make the money you have, on top of, if you need to exit out of this property, you can exit out for some reason. So, we do evaluations. We do quarterly evaluations on all of our properties that are rentals. And if we see it's starting not cash flow, we are getting close to not cash flow, we make an adjustment. We say, okay, will a rent increase on this property when it comes up for renewal? Will it sustain itself, and will it be justified? If not, when the renter leaves, we put it up for sale and we'll sell it, and we'll either do a 1031 exchange, a straight cash out and reinvest the money, or do whatever we decide we're going to do.
Kevin and Beatrice, when you're rehabbing, and I know you don't cut costs, this is not a question of, how do you cut out and mess over the buyer? I'm not saying that, but we all, as investors, we all have our way that we feel ultimately makes it a nicer house and saves us money. And one hack that I have started doing, and I learned from someone that I manage for, is I've been ripping out bathtubs. I just don't see the value in a bathtub, and they don't stay nice long term, no matter what you do. So I've been doing all tile showers instead of bathtubs. Is there some little tips and tricks that you've started doing in your rentals, which you think, again, helps the house maintain its value longer, but also saves you on rehab costs? Do you have any tips or tricks like that for us?
It's an interesting conversation you just put out there, Julie, because we actually believe in when we do new master bathrooms, we're putting in tile showers for that reason.
Okay.
Now, the tile shower or selling point for sales, but it's also a selling point for renters, because that's that nicety that they don't normally see in a rental property. So you're able to get a little more from a rental standpoint from it. The other thing that we have found that really helps, both on asset value and on rental value, is making sure it has a nice open concept. Make sure it has a nice flat open bar. The new normal bar. The old deal was having elevated bars,
Right.
and it's almost, that's going back to the closed concept thought process. And people now, they mingle in their kitchen and the living room and the dining rooms all at the same time as they're working in their kitchen. So if they have the open line of sight, open concept, being able to see in the living room, see the dining from the kitchen, that's a very big positive for both renters and added value to the property, really, if you sell it.
You're making it open. If it's not open when you buy it, you're looking for a way to open it up, and you feel that really adds to the value. Is that right?
Yes,
Definitely.
yes. Now, we have had a few properties where, because of structural issues within the house as far as structural walls or things. We've not been able to do that. And so we do things like new granite countertops, where we would normally just do a Formica countertop. We would do a nice granite countertop. Yeah, that's $400 or $500 depending on the size of the counter on it. But it's a selling point. A renter's coming in saying, "Well, I don't have this normal Formica that I have in all the rental houses I had before. I have this nice granite countertop. This is nice. I like this." And
Mhm.
so it adds value. And but to say to hold back from things, we we really hesitate, and that's why we still are conservative on our offers, and still why, because we've not, because of the added cost of money and stuff, we still have not cut anything out. And 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 whether we know it's going to be a rental or not, we fix it up just like it was going to be a sold property. And we do that because somewhere down the line it's going to be an exit property. Now, the other thing we've got that we do because of our age and everything else, every rental properties that we take on, whether we're going to do it or not, we base on what we do on that property on a 5 year exit strategy. We may not exit in 5 years, but a 5 year exit strategy. Because that way, if you don't do the stuff now, you're gonna have to do it later. And usually when you do it later, it's gonna cost you a lot more is as doing just a touch up to get things done. Now, granted, we've had a couple properties where we've done everything to it, and then we went back in after our renters tore it up, and we've had to redo a lot of stuff and spent again half as much as we spent originally. But that's part of the game. If you're going to be in the game, you're going to have a couple properties like that's going to happen to, and you're going to have to just you've got to have enough resources to be able to handle that, and hopefully, um, the other way around that to get that back is instead of doing 1 year lease agreements, is you get a 2 year lease agreement.
Yeah.
So maybe the first year, because of all the money you had put back into the house, you don't make anything, but the second year you're making the money out of it.
Mhm.
And so that's a way to get around some of those issues when you have to do a lot of things that you normally would not do on a rehab or a turnover property, because you've had a lot of issues that you've had correct because of the turnover to get your money out. And again, with what's happening in this market, if you're in those areas that the market's grown the way it is, like we are, um, the that second years, not only are you getting that appreciation, that deal, we are still seeing the appreciation that you don't normally count on getting through the second year.
I really appreciate what you say about the 5 year plan, and you're absolutely right. You have to think very long term. It's not just getting a renter in today and it looking cute today. You want that house in great shape 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 30 years from now. I've told a million people, I'm not scared of a new roof. I like a new roof. That's a 50-year roof. That's the longest I might even hold the property. And I remember, when I got started years ago, and even, 3 or 4 years ago, everyone was putting in gold fixtures. And I kept saying, I will not do this. It's a fad. And at the time I was very big on brushed nickel, and now I do everything in black. I think it's very chic and I think it's going to last. And who's not going to want a black shower fixture? Like you said, 5 years from now, it's not just to me what's in style today, but what's going to last. And when you look at things getting dirty, you have to almost tenant proof your houses. And I'd really like your thoughts on that. Like that's one of my favorite tenant proofing is if my handles and all of my fixtures are black, they just really aren't going to show the wear like something else. Do you have any thoughts on kind of tenant proofing your houses? And because you want them to be nice, but also lived in.
Yeah. And one thing you've got to, whether you're a landlord or you're going to be doing the house for a flip, is you really need to think about what is out there, what is the fad now. Because regardless whether you've got a renter or you've got somebody buying it, you're not going to get the highest end of the rental market if you're doing something that's been out of fad for 4 or 5 years. You need to constantly be educating yourself, watching what's going on, looking what's going on, looking at new bills, looking at what people are saying. asking people what they see. I mean, it's so important to communicate and ask people what they see and we go in and do a quarterly inspection on all our properties and anything that's bad we correct on a quarterly basis. Well, people say, well, why do you do that? Why you don't wait for your tenant to leave? Well, if you wait till your tenant leaves, number one, you're going to have something this big to take care of. We do it on a quarterly, just this big, and you take it in bites. And if it happens to be something that's tenant neglect, it's a lot easier to get them to pay for it if you're getting on a quarterly when they still have 8 or 9 months worth of lease left or 6 months worth of lease left. Because part of your deal is you do damage, it's got to be fixed. You do damage. But if you go a whole year, but once they're out the door, the ability of a landlord to be able to collect damages is pretty hard. It's pretty hard, and it's going to cost you usually more from a legal standpoint than you're going to get out of it. So you have to address those issues as you're going through the lease to make sure that you don't have a product when you're its tail end that you've got to do a huge turnover cost to it.
But at the same token, I believe that creating that relationship of those quarterly or to the least 6 months visit, I call it visit instead of inspection, so they feel like more familiar. We're visiting you. It's just creating this mindset. This is your home. And that's something that I always will stress very clearly when we are signing the lease and we're explaining the terms and everything, that we want to make sure that they feel home and take a pride of a home, not just a place to sleep. Because if you want a place to sleep, you go to a hotel.
No, you go to somebody else.
Or you go to somebody else's. This is your home. You have to take pride of your home and take it care as yours. So when we go and have that conversation, I think that develop that mindset that really this is something that I want to take care of. And in regards to these new features of how we can make a property more appealable to the community. For instance, if we see a property that is only one bathroom and there is no way that we, because of the cost or space or for whatever reason it is, that we cannot expand to add at least half of the bath or another bathroom, we try to do as much as we can to take the space to have a double vanity in the bathroom.
Oh,
So for the most part, that's something that there is not a way how we can add another bathroom, at least to the one bathroom, to have a double vanity. And that had helped us a lot, that make a difference. Because when they see a bathroom, they says, oh, it's different from the just one bathroom. So we, as much as we can, we try to do that.
I
And
love
even
that.
on weekends, we love to go to open houses. And the reason why we go to open houses, even for the new builds, is because you are going to be able to see what these new builds are bringing something different. What are the colors? What are the features? Because those are actually, they are bringing new customers and new builds. So what are the new ideas for the new architectures? And they're doing the studies. So what we cannot replicate there, what they are doing instead of us, what new we're going to do. So they can bring ideas of what we can take to our next project and what we are seeing out there.
I really like that idea. That's super smart. Super smart. I want to ask, Beatrice is talking about education earlier. Who did y'all learn from? Did you have a mentor? Was it just going to a ton of meetups and books? How did y'all kind of learn how to do this business?
Well, actually, it was kind of very interesting how we started it, because by that time, as I mentioned before, I was still in Miami, and Kevin was already here in Savannah because of his corporate world. But he knew that sooner or later he will be laid off, basically, because he was already at the top level in his company, and he had the feeling that something was coming. So at that time, I guess that's the reason why everything happens for a reason, like always we said. I think that also sometimes in life we need to have this push of change that is pushing you even harder. And that's the reason why it's so important, your mindset on how you're going to take the challenges. Because the challenges are going to be able to push you higher. But if you have a strong mindset, if you don't, maybe the challenges are going to hold you or maybe put you down. So we are blessed that we took that opportunity to start figure out what's going to be our next step. We both had kind of background in real estate because as he said, he did some rehabs as a hobby, basically in Colorado, just trying to figure out himself with no education and making a lot of mistakes. In my particular case, like the same system, save the money and buy rentals, save the money and buy rental. So I had 3 rentals in Miami during my professional career. So because I knew that real estate was something secure, but we didn't know the system, right? So here I was at work and then and on the radio, because always I have music in the background. And it was this commercial on the radio that they were coming to Fort Lauderdale, this organization that is called Fortune Builders, to have a seminar just to teach how to do real estate investment. So I remember I listened to the radio. It says, what is this? But so I start searching on the web of that, and it says, well, it's just a seminar. So why we don't go and learn and start listening from somebody that maybe knows definitely more than us. And so it was free. So I signed up for that weekend seminar. And so I call him and he says, okay, you have to come to this weekend to Miami. And because he was constantly coming to spend time together. And so we are going to be busy, but I didn't tell him what it was. And I said, so when he came, he says, okay, we're going to need to spend the weekend in Fort Lauderdale. So he says, why? We're going to a beach? No, we are going to go to a class, to a seminar. And then he says, oh, no, we're not going to buy anything. This is just to get money from you. It says, because whatever. I mean, we have to be open-minded. Let's listen what they have to say. And, we will decide. I mean, there is nothing written in stone. So we went, and actually, again, I think that for me, that initial session was an eye-opener to start opening a vision about investing and how to make the money work, and how really open that a level of opportunities that was completely unknown for me. Totally. After some 40 years in the corporate world, which it was what they're talking about.
Mhm.
So to make story short, they proposed us if we want to be part of the whole program, etc. We were a lot of concern about the cost because we didn't have the money, of course. And again, they were teaching us, you don't have to write a check. We are trying to teach you how you are going to make the money works. So this is how this is going to be. We can have these credit cards that are 0% through the whole year. You can work the money for a whole year, paying this training, this education, and also is putting you in a position that really is you're making yourself accountable, that you are going to make this work because you have this debt, right? That you have to pay. And then it was kind of an eye-opener. And it says, okay, why we don't do it? Let's do it. It said, and the philosophy that I had at that time was, I did my master's degree, regular master's degree in business administration. And so by that time I had to pay $45,000 for that master. I didn't have the money. So what I did at that time is that I did an equity loan on my house to pay for to pay for my education. So again, I didn't have the money, but I looked for the money, right? So here it was another different way on how to look for the money to pay for education. So actually we did that. And to be very honest, I believe we both agree that it was the best way how we spend the money, because education, it is the key to actually make sure that you're opening a whole wide of opportunities with the knowledge and the foundation of what you are doing. So education is a key. And we are very blessed that we made the decision, and the rest is story since we started it.
And to follow up on that, um, one thing you've got to realize, and a lot of people don't realize this getting into the business, thinking it's they see people making money out in the business and they think it's easy to do. Well, there's a lot of things in the background you have to do to make it successful. And build a foundation. You have to build systems. You have to adhere to those systems. You have to make sure that every time you're doing any project analysis, you're going through your systems. And if you follow the systems that you set up that are successful, you will be successful. It's just a matter of activity to get to that point. If you learn the systems and then you don't do anything with it, you're not going to be successful. And you have to learn the things that make you successful and the systems that make you successful. Follow systems, adapt them systems to your environment, and then follow them. Don't deviate from them. Don't try and get a deal because you deviate from your systems. If your system says this is not a good deal, it's not a good deal. Point blank.
And I
Oh.
think that for us and to ensure that things will work the way how we learn to make that work, it was also with the principle that we have a vision. And we had a vision making sure that it will be always a win-win situation.
Mm.
It will not be by no means always in one way. So we always, in every single deal, we want to make sure that us, of course, we're making the money that we are expecting to do. But at the same token, every single person, from the contractors, from the people who are working for us, and the ultimate goal for the buyer or the tenant, that actually they are getting the benefit of the work that we do. So it is going to be always community driven, ethical driven, professional driven. So those are the key elements that we never deviate to make sure that this is going to work for our business.
And just one other thing real quick is one of the things that was real big in the education system we took, and I believe in it full-heartedly, is don't make this all about just money, about making money for the business. Make it about what are you going to do for the community, for the people you're in with. If your goal is just money, you're not in the right business. You need to be in this business to do something for your community, for the people you're around, for your relatives. You need to have some goals that you've set on those side of things, not just making money.
And for that reason, if you see our business card in our website, we have our logo. We say that is the heart because we are coming from the heart. But at the end, I was thinking, okay, there's always a slogan, right? When you have a business, there is always something that kind of get into people's mind to recognize it, right? And so immediately it came to my mind, honestly, that every time that we are doing a deal, we are opening the door for you. And that's why we ended up our business card with that slogan. When I'm doing posts, it's opening the door for you, because that's basically kind of a vision that we have when we're giving a key to somebody and they are opening that door either because they are buying it or because they are renting. We are helping that person to open a new chapter of their lives, whatever it is. So it's always opening a vision of positivity in their lives, our lives, and whoever is around us.
Beautiful.
So good. So good. Kevin and Beatrice, I want to ask, where can we find y'all? You're on social media. If someone wants to send y'all a deal, how can we contact you?
Social media, email, K Severson at hearthomesolutions.com, B Severson at hearthomesolutions.com. We have phone numbers out there. If you want to send us a deal, we have it on our webpage. We have an info deal where you can send us a deal right on our webpage if you want to, or if you need to contact us because you're in a situation where you need to get out of your home and you're behind in it and you need help to try and figure out how to do it and get some money. We take and are very inventive in trying to find a solution for everybody we're exposed to. There are some people who can help. Some people we just kind of guide them to how they can help themselves. because some people just need to learn how to financially control what they're doing to get on the right track. And we part of what we do also, even for buyers that we buy from and from renters, is we don't want to rent to you forever. We want you to be a buyer. So we first thing we do is if we feel like we can be comfortable enough with the renters, we try and get them education in financial things so that they can become renters, so that they can financially not be a slave to the workforce and can become financially independent, because there's nothing wrong with having a job for your whole life. What's wrong with your life is it with people is not understanding that you can do things with what you earn to help you become financially independent and have a little better retirement, a little better life going forward, or possibly provide a better life or a better retirement, or educate your own children, your own grandchildren, your sisters, your brothers, your nieces, your nephews, your grandpa, your grandma. I mean, let's face it. People went through the depression. They hold on to money like this, and they're not gonna let go of it no matter what. And I had a father-in-law that I had to battle that with. And you know what? We was able to give him a lot of expertise by investing him in the right things. And he actually passed, we thought he would run out of money when he was like 77. He lived in 94 and he still had money working for him, making money, and was able to pass that a lot of that down to the kids, and could live a life where he could be comfortable and not worry about where every penny's going to come from. And that's what part of our goal is. Even if we don't do business with you, if we can educate you on how to make your money work for you to help you have a better life in the future, that's a win for us,
Mhm.
because that's part of our heart, our business, our heart.
And on the other hand, also because of my Hispanic heritage, I have been able to identify that there are a lot of members of our Hispanic community that they are ready to buy, but they don't know how. First of all, there are different reasons. First of all, because we are also coming from a culture where debt is bad. You have to pay everything cash. You don't have any debt. So the system here is completely different. You have to have a good debt and a good credit score. So that type of a concept, they don't realize how important it is, or it's the process of learning. So we are also advocating for teaching our Hispanic community and be able to identify these individuals that are ready to buy, that they don't know how. And we have a success stories when actually they were ready, they were afraid, they have limited understanding of the language. So they were even not feeling secure even going to open houses because he couldn't communicate the well how we're expecting. And people, they told me flat out, people are not taking us seriously because we don't speak the language very well. And so they were ready. So we were able to walk through the process, and they bought a house that we had in an open house. And that actually they visited us in the open house, and that's how we met him. So we know that like this, there are so many stories that can be replicated, because at the end of the day, like we were saying, we are here not just for the business, it's just making sure that people are able to understand the system, are going to be able to succeed, and always empowering ownership through the community. So there are a lot of work to do.
And we would have helped this couple whether they bought our house or not.
Exactly.
But it just they decided that that's what they wanted. And so we didn't help them out of the ability that we wanted to sell them our house. We helped them out of the ability to just help the
To get
community.
a loan approved. It says,
Yeah.
okay, you're approved, whatever you want. You want to buy this, and now you can go in and shop around. So, but they got a loan approved.
And you build a lot of long-term relationships by helping people out in that situation. And um, there's nothing there's nothing more satisfying than helping people out that didn't think they could ever own a home in their lives. To see them come through that front door when you hand them their keys and say,
Mm.
here's your house, just see the joy on their face
Yes.
and the pride of that ownership.
Even for rentals. I had that experience last year when we rented a house in very close to Christmas. It was like around November in Savannah. And this was a family, Hispanic family that was moving from a trailer to the first time having a home. And the faces of those kids, I mean, when they were walking that house for rent, I mean, I still I feel the goosebumps, and I think that I'm like crybaby. So I think that I ended up like a cry baby. We were all hugging and crying and everything else. But this is what really is valuable. This is really what this is who we are. We are business, but we are community, and
And honestly,
this is what it really means to
I think
us.
that's why we have been successful, because we do want everybody that we touch to be successful. We don't, I mean, it's not all about us. Us is not even important, because guess what? When you help other people, that success to you comes naturally.
Well, Kevin and Beatrice, you're a big part of our investor community here in Savannah, and it's just been such an honor to get to know you. And so many times I've heard people, including myself and Chandler, talk about how successful you have been in such a short amount of time. And I just want to say, getting to know your story even more today, it tells me really that God is really blessing your business. It's very glaringly obvious that you have the best intentions and you do ethical work and you put the people above money, and it's only natural that you are going to be blessed upon, beyond measure. And I can't even tell you how much I love and respect both of you. It's been such an honor to get to know you, and thank you for sharing your story today. I know that you do a lot of mentoring on many levels, and I also want to put it out there that because I've heard you say it, I don't mean to speak for you, but if investors out there, if you're nervous as you run the numbers, Kevin or Beatrice, they'll go through that deal with you. They'll take the time and give you their thoughts that you may agree or disagree. They're okay with that. And I have so much respect for what you guys are doing. And I really can see why you've been blessed so well. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you for having us on today, and we're glad we're able to spend a little time with you and the insight. We are not very, or I am not. She speaks a little more than I do, but I am very quiet as far as I don't push a lot of people. If people come to me, I'm willing to help them out, but I don't, and I we are very blessed that we've been successful. We're very thankful for the whole community, and we want to try, and like we said, make everybody we touch try and be successful, and at least have a thought process that keeps them on solid ground going forward. And not that we know everything, we make mistakes just like everybody else. I mean, there isn't one property we do we don't at least make one mistake. I mean, we're not, I mean, as many as we've done, we still make a mistake every property.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how much it costs.
Yeah, and the reality is that, of course, when we use social media, and that happens even in our personal lives and business lives, you post most of the successes, right? Because that's what actually you are exposing. But the truth of the matter is that we have to be very honest. That
Yeah.
is not always a bright light all the time in your life, in the business. That's the nature of life. And so, most importantly, is to see how we are going to be able to manage and learn every single day from the different situations that we have to deal with, and just to learn from it and move on. And so, honestly, thank you so much for giving us this opportunity to share what we are, our vision, our mission, and looking forward to continue being here in Savannah for many years, because at the end of the day, this is a community that, in my particular personal experience after moving from Miami, that even myself, I was so scared to this unknown. It says, what I'm going to do from Miami in Savannah. I know that it was working in the business, but it says, oh my Lord, how this is going to work. But on the contrary, now after 4 years, I said that this is home, that I'm glad that that I made this step, that we made this step, and everything happened for a reason. God knows when
Absolutely.
things needs to be happening at the right time, at the right moment. He is always guiding us, and we are blessed for that. And just looking forward to continue working for the community and for each one of us to be successful and be able to give from us the best that we can to our community.
Well, we appreciate your time today, and we look forward to seeing you this Thursday at the Cash Flow Savannah meetup.
All right, thanks, Chandler.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Julie.
Thank you so
Have a
much.
good. Well, thanks for listening. Please like, comment, subscribe, and share to all your friends, and we will see you in the next one.
Thank you.
Bye.